Good evening, students. Today for homework, you will be creating a cause and effect annotated timeline using the worksheet that Mr. Wilson provided for you in class today. Each cause and effect solution will take up one box. Each page will contain two effects/causes, events, and a space for illustration. Each cause and effect, or effect and cause, event will begin with "so" and then end with "which caused." Each box will contain two colorful stick figure illustrations illustrating both of the events. Please write in pen, draw with colored pencils, make your illustrations example of neat and careful work. Illustrations should help the reader understand the event further. Thank you. So tonight's homework will be from Texas independence through the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. This will cover how the cause and effect correlation between Europeans moving into Texas and eventually the United States conquering Alta Mexico. Please enjoy. Thank you. It is important to note that this evening's homework will just be a general outline over the events from Texas independence through the Treaty of Guadalupe and the Mexican-American War. We will not be getting into great specifics on either event. We will be doing that in class tomorrow. Thank you very much. So, in the 1820s, Texas represented a great barren wasteland in northern Mexico that was sparsely populated. In order to bring more people into the area and more people into the country, Mexico decided to invite United States citizens, and especially recent immigrants from places like the Czech Republic, to Texas in order to become essentially Mexican. All they had to do was to agree to two terms. First, come as a Mexican citizen, and then conform to Mexican ways by becoming becoming Catholic. This caused tens of thousands of U.S. citizens to move to Texas, but when they got there, they completely ignored Mexican laws, including not converting to the religion, not wishing to become Mexican citizens, and most abhorrently, holding slaves when Mexico had in fact already outlawed slavery. So, in order to enforce Mexican authority, General Santa Anna marched the Mexican army to Texas to enforce the law. This inspired more rebellion in the Texans, who repulsed the attacks initially, only to fall back to the Alamo, which was a mission in San Antonio, in order to garrison it. Essentially, in the end, this would lead to a siege of the Alamo by the vastly superior Mexican army, as they attempted to remove and wipe out the Tejanos, or the Texan independence seekers. Now, the Mexican army put down the initial rebellion at the Alamo by capturing the Alamo and killing all the Texan defenders inside, in a brutal show of force and a brutal show of authority. This causes, however, the Texans not to be afraid of the Mexicans, but to unify against General Santa Anna. Eventually, this allows Sam Houston to take over the Texan army, and he unifies them, and he eventually will defeat Santa Anna and his army at the Battle of San Jacinto. And he forces him to accept Texas independence in 1836. So, after 9 years of debating, the Lone Star Republic, as it became known, eventually was annexed by the United States. This was the goal of most Texans from the beginning, to become a state of the United States. However, because they were a slave state, it took 9 years of wheeling and dealing to eventually become part of the United States. This angers Mexico to no end, because they believe that the Republic of Texas, which was never recognized, was seized from them illegally. Also, there was a border dispute over where the Republic of Texas ended and where Mexico began. The Mexicans claimed it was the Nueces River, where the Texans claimed it was the Rio Grande River. This causes the United States to offer to buy all of northern Mexico for $30 million and complete the United States from sea to sea. So, as the Mexicans refused to sell, the United States under President James K. Polk sent soldiers into the disputed territory between the Nueces and the Rio Grande rivers in order to protect Texans and to repel or rebuke hostile Mexicans. This possibly draws fire from Mexico. However, it is unsubstantiated and generally disputed in Congress whether it does or not. But because of a possible attack from Mexico on the United States decides to declare war on Mexico. So this causes the U.S. to declare war on Mexico, which they eventually win. The United States invades all of Mexico. They send a force into Mexico City where they conquer Mexico City, and they take over all of the land that they previously had offered to buy, and they pay a measly sum of $15 million. So, Mexico is forced into signing the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. As you can see on the maps below, the map on the left is the United States in 1840. All of the orange is Mexico, including Texas. The map on the right, however, is what the United States looks like after the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. And essentially all of that orangish beige color becomes the Mexican cession, roughly half of the entire landmass of Mexico, only for $15 million. Now, this causes the United States to have an abundance of more territory. California, which states include California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico. Now the United States has to decide what it's going to do with this new territory in its old debate over whether it will be free territory or whether it will be slave territory. On the bottom of your note sheet, if you would please answer this question. What major question is the United States going to have to deal with now after acquiring all of this new territory? Essentially, the United States once again adds a third of its landmass after the Treaty of Guadalupe-Hidalgo. And once again, the United States has to answer the age-old question of what to do with this landmass. Please explain to me what is the major sticking point and why it is a major sticking point.